Will the middle class finally be able to save more money? That's always the big question, isn't it? After any union budget is announced, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's ninth budget may not bring direct tax cuts, but it does offer some indirect support for the common man. Let's dive deeper. Let's quickly give you a few examples and then we'll be going across to our experts. Starting with healthcare, the sector gets a solid boost. The government plans to train 1 lakh new allied health professionals, 1.5 lakh caregivers, set up 3 new Ayurveda institutes, launch NIMHANS 2, expand emergency and trauma care in district hospitals. That's just some of the announcements that have come in. In sports as well, the Khelo India mission will help identify talent, train coaches, build modern infrastructure to give young athletes a real platform. Tourism is also set to get a lift with 5 regional medical hubs, a National Institute of Hospitality, the development of 15 archaeological sites, a national destination digital knowledge grid, and even Buddhist circuits in the northeast. On taxes, the new income tax will come into effect starting 1st of April. The system has been simplified with redesigned forms and easier rules to make compliance less of a headache for the common man. So will the middle class save more money? That's what we're going to decode the next few minutes. We've spoken about some of the advantages, not so much directly maybe, but indirectly perhaps that will reach you. But let's quickly bring in our guest this morning to understand what the immediate gains are going to be, what the long-term stability and support looks like in the wake of this announcement. Sumita Dara, former Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, joins us this morning. Good morning, ma'am. It's been a long day yesterday for everybody, and everyone's, really brainstorming what we make of this. But as for the common man, ma'am, what is your biggest takeaway and analysis of what we've heard? There's no massive direct relief or any personal SOP that's been announced so far. And on expected lines, this is no election year. Typically in an election year is when, it's heavy on that kind of messaging. But that said, there's a longer vision that the government is aimed for. But for everyone tuned in, possibly eating their breakfast as we speak, what are they to really pin their hopes and expectations on?
Yes, one thing is very clear, that this is a budget which indicates continuity and stability. And while we may not have had some of the big ticket expected announcements, but we've had a lot of strategic announcements, which we need to understand and which point a direction in the towards long-term growth, and also towards India emerging as a high-tech manufacturing hub, let's say, or giving pathways to skilled labor and showing the way that skilling and entrepreneurship is the way to get quality employment. Now, what is striking about the budget? One thing, of course, is the capex push. Continues with a historic outlay for infrastructure, capex, and also the invitation to the foreign companies to come and sell capital goods, set up shop in India for capital goods, which is connected to infrastructure building. So that's one sector which is going to emerge even stronger. In manufacturing, as we have seen, the big push on semiconductors. Semiconductor is the brain of technology. It is used in the automotives, it is used in telecom, it is used in defense. So that points towards economic security for the country, national security for the country. Similarly, the focus on biopharma is again in the direction of economic security. And Bharat Vistar is a very interesting announcement where AI and innovation will be used for agriculture productivity.
Okay, so if we quickly zoom out and talk about these two things, Subhita ji. One, of course, whether or not inclusion of AI now into agri, food, etc., will that come handy for you and I? Is it going to be easier on our pockets, let's say, in just buying our daily items, food items? One is that, and how soon can we start seeing that change really on ground? And two, what you just said, how so much focus has been laid on infrastructure, manufacturing, which obviously means more jobs. So job creation is a big part of the Union Budget 2026. Again, how soon can people, so youngsters watching this right now in their teens, how soon can they expect real change?
Right. You see, in agriculture, using Bharat Vistar, where a multilingual AI platform will be available for farmers to be able to take better decisions. That's where a lot of youth can connect. And we know the digital skills of our youth. India's employability, particularly in the digital sector, has been going up, and the rural youth are very much attuned to it. There are universities which are teaching these courses. Similarly, the skills in using technology for agriculture is nothing new, but now it gets scaled up. I think we should be able to see that soon enough, because India has the advantage of a big arable land, and we produce diverse crops. We already have that advantage. We are building on that by bringing in technology. We have a strong startup culture, the third biggest startup ecosystem in the world, that should be able to connect quickly. So I don't think that this is going to take time, and there's a huge market out there for better packaged and better produced foods, and for building a blockchain, so that the supply chains can be traced by the consumers. So that's something which India can offer through technology and startups, when we offer packaged food, organic food to the markets abroad or within India. Now coming to jobs, there's a clear indication that focuses on futuristic skilling, whether it is for animal husbandry, or it is in the healthcare sector, or it is in tourism and AI. Skilling pathways, the focus is on new career pathways, skilling pathways. And what is very striking is that services has been recognized as a growth driver, particularly for employment. And the employment elasticity of services has been recognized to be the highest among the sectors in the economic survey at 0.43. So a high-powered standing committee which will take the youth from education to employment to enterprise. That is very interesting. Now, when we see the pathways for AI, we see the focus on electronics, we see the focus on services, we see the focus on data centers and the cloud service providers who have been given a tax holiday to 2047, quite unprecedented. So all this points towards India emerging as a global power in services. And that is the target which the FM has also kept, 10% by 2047 at the global level. So I think all this is very interesting.
On the periphery, there's also obviously a minute relief that's come in on several goods that are going to see less import going forward, including cancer drugs. Cancer drugs, remember, is a big relief. So there are a host of other announcements that have come in. Subhita ji, very quickly, because we're going to wrap up and take this conversation forward. Speaking of jobs, that's really going to be our focus the next few minutes. But one smart money move, ordinary Indians, you think, just on a lighter note, they should follow thoroughly in the wake of Union Budget 2026.
You said one smart move.
Money move. Yeah.
Money move. Oh, wow. I think we should spend more. Domestic demand is a big growth driver. And while we were hoping more money would be put in the hands of the middle class, we were hoping standard deduction would go up. We were hoping the slabs would be raised for tax exemption. Yet domestic demand is going to take the country forward. It's going to attract more investments, and it's going to eventually bring higher incomes to all of us and more jobs.
Okay,
so I would say let's spend more.
Okay, spend more. Okay, wonderful. Yes. We're going to wrap up this conversation on that very optimistic thought and note. Thank you so much, Sumita ji, for joining us. We'll possibly reconnect, take this conversation forward. For now, we're going to take a slight cue from what we just heard from our expert. If you zoom out, viewers, Budget 26-27 is basically admitting one thing up front. Jobs indeed are a worry. Yes, it's come up with ways in which this worry can be addressed. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced new high-powered education to employment and enterprise committee. The committee will look at where jobs can realistically come from, how exports can grow, and very importantly, how technologies like AI are changing the kind of skills companies want. Now, this push comes at a time when people are genuinely nervous about AI. The concern isn't that machines will suddenly take everyone's job tomorrow. It's more subtle than that. AI is quietly replacing routine work like basic coding, testing, documentation, repetitive business tasks, so on and so forth. Layoffs are happening not because the economy is crashing, but because companies are trying to become leaner and more efficient. Now, you can already see where the pressure is showing. IT services are feeling it the most. The old model of hiring thousands of freshers, building a pyramid, just doesn't work when AI can do all of that entry-level task and at a much faster pace. What really sharpens the warning is the economic survey. It talks about a quiet drift in white-collar jobs. Basically, jobs aren't disappearing overnight, but they're not growing the way they used to either. The survey even notes that this trend doesn't show up in less digitized sectors, which tells you the problem is very specific to AI-exposed white-collar roles. Against this backdrop, the layoffs make more sense. Amazon, for instance, has announced massive global cuts over the last 2 years. Last year itself, end of year, we saw about 14,000 people being sacked, another 16,000 very, very recently. Microsoft has trimmed more than 15,000 jobs through 2025 and early 2026. Meta has pulled back from its metaverse bet. In India as well, TCS plans to cut around 12,000 jobs. There are firms like Pinterest, Oracle, they've all restructured. So the takeaway isn't that jobs are vanishing or going to vanish tomorrow. It's actually the nature of job creation is changing quietly but steadily. In an AI-driven world, the real challenge for India isn't just creating jobs. It's making sure people are trained for the jobs that will actually exist. How do we aim to get to that stage? And where are we right now? Are we taking the right steps at the right time? Let's quickly bring in our guest joining us this morning. Nikita Bengani, Director, Youth Programs, Quest Alliance, is with us as our first speaker. Hi, good morning, Nikita. Lovely to see you. Febin John James, founder AIBODH, is our second guest who will be taking this conversation forward. Febin, let's begin with you. Really understand first, we need to go back to the drawing board and understand where the problem really is. We've spoken of how IT sectors, service sectors are the ones that are looking at this whole, it's almost become a trend of laying people off, massive layoffs, thousands of staff gone overnight. They're receiving these letters en masse, and it's a worrying trend, but it's restricted again to a few sectors. Yes, layoffs are happening all over, but massive layoffs still constrained to a few sectors. Why do you think that's happening? What is AI being able to do so efficiently? And we know the answer already, but just to put our thoughts there again, what is it doing so efficiently that people are not needed to do these jobs anymore?
There are primarily two reasons. One is that the investment for AI is also a matter of concern. So if they have to invest money in AI, they have to take money out from somewhere. So that is also one of the reasons why there's a lot of job loss. But other than that, coming back to your point, the second reason being that we have been seeing, I can just specifically talk about the software programming sector as such. What used to take a lot of time, like probably a week or month, is now being able to be done in say minutes. And we can see that with Anthropic's cutting edge innovation which is happening, and we are expecting something next week as well, and we're expecting that it can do much better things as such. But keeping the excitement aside, the problem being that a team manager who managers who needs to kind of communicate as to what needs to get done is more inefficient right now to communicate with 10 people and get things done than going to an AI and getting things done, right? So this is the problem. But again, there is still hope for original problem solving, and as problems get evolved, there can be more solutions to it. But as of now, we can expect a lot more job loss.
Okay. Nikita, where do you stand on this? The whole conversation and around the world on AI has been oscillating between two poles. Massive unemployment is imminent, and the other is nothing is really going to change. So to begin with, where do you stand on this?
So I think in our work and working closely with the young people who are at the receiving end of some of these trends, I think what I'm seeing is that it's not just that everything is going to get automated. I think people who will be at the receiving end of job losses are people who are not able to upgrade skills as fast as the world of work is shifting. And the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, who are not getting skilled adequately in the training institutions. I think the economic survey also spoke of the fact that only 4.9% people are receiving formal vocational education, or 21% are receiving informal vocational education, right? So that is definitely not sufficient statistic to say that people are equipped to even enter the world of work, and then these trends of AI is what is then impacting them. So I feel like there is definitely a shift in the kind of tasks AI in the AI world is expected to be done by employees. But here I feel like if people are well skilled, there is, I feel like all the layoffs cannot be pegged on AI, honestly, because there is also a lot of shifts happening in the global world. The markets are crashing. There is so much of like geopolitics playing out here. Wars are happening across the world. So there is all of these factors, right? And I feel like all of these things compound, have an impact on job losses. If we skill our workforce well, and keep their skills upgraded and relevant, some of it can be mitigated to some extent. And that's what I think the economic survey also paints as a picture, and takes a more balanced view to the impact of AI.
Here's where it gets slightly tricky, where the economic survey warns that a worst case global scenario driven by AI could trigger a systemic shock with consequences worse than the 2008 global finance crisis. Now that's a big one, which means this is going to be a direct threat to India's IT-driven white-collar job engines, and that's what's being looked at. So what can we do really now, Febin, to not get to that point, or to ensure that we're in damage control mode already? We'll go across to Nikita because she's actually at it. There is a lot of integration that we're seeing, which is bringing about this kind of skilling into young people in India. But what's your analysis on what is the need of the hour? There's a few committees which has been announced already in the union budget. Do you think that's the way forward? The university districts that we're now going to be looking at. Let's start from a place where we're keeping all of this in mind, don't you think?
The question is for Nikita, right?
No, Febin for you, sorry.
Okay, sorry. So basically, what I basically see here is that with respect to skilling, there is also the part where there is a lot of exploration needs to be done. For example, prompt engineering was something not, we expected to have, to pop up as a skill, like 5 years back, right? So similarly, a lot of skill areas are still in the growing stage. So we need to kind of train a workforce which are not just in the receiving end, that or spoon feed it that, hey, this is the skill you have to teach, but it's more of like, hey, this you have to explore this part and and figure things out yourself. So that kind of exploration will be very critical, because if anything is repetitive and redundant, AI can do it. So that is one part of it. The second part, I would say that one thing which the budget also says, which I disagree with, is that the foundational AI pattern, where the investments risk are pretty much huge, like what OpenAI, where there's millions of dollars invested, and our budget is like, hey, we should take a risk there. But here we should take a long-term thinking and a long-term investment, because if without that, we won't be able to create original foundational AI companies. That is, if that happens in India, I think, with Servo AI and all that, that can create huge opportunities. So I think I just ended up there that, we need more foundational AI companies. Okay. And second part is that we need skilling, but also self-exploratory skilling is also crucial than, repetitive, redundant kind of, skilling as such.
We have been relatively behind in the AI race. You're saying, we need to pull up our socks and really get to that point wherein we're not seen as a nation that's still lagging behind. But Nikita, the other question that I want to ask you is, do you think we can take advantage of that? The fact that we're still not right in the front, the fact that there's still scope of revising our strategy as per the changing job scenario, given the AI intervention, do you think this can be turned into an opportunity?
Yes, and I feel like that's really where we should go, right? AI definitely is also an enabler, like what Febin was saying, that there are lots of value addition it brings. Like a researcher who would take like 10 days to look for 100 documents to put out a research, now it's a matter of a few seconds. Of course, one has to check the validity. But
then you don't need 5 researchers now in your team.
But you
just need 1. So there's also a...
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also like, some of these, the what human beings brings to the table is not what AI can always take over, right? Like the ability to think critically, the ability to, the human relations, the emotions, the fact that you have to supervise what's happening. There are certain guardrails one has to draw around some of these things. So there is certain role for human beings that is definitely cut out in the way, we can move forward. And I feel like the opportunity here is that, given we are not yet where there is, at a point of no return. There can be a lot more guardrails that can be drawn in terms of how AI is being used. Needs to be a lot more awareness spread on young people. Like, we've been working with young people so closely, and half of them have no clue, what's going on. They all use generative AI in different forms and shapes, but they have very little clue on how it impacts them, how it impacts their future, how their data is being used, the privacy around it. So all of these things are a matter of concern, and hence I feel like if there are proper upskilling done, and I feel like in the budgets also, there's a 62% increase in the Ministry of Skills and Entrepreneurship's budget, right? It's almost gone to 99,000 crores, 9,900 crores, almost 10,000 crores, right? So I feel like it's a big intent from a government side to say that we need to skill our young people better to be able to, use AI as an enabler and not as a way to get jobs displaced.
But Nikita, do you also think we're going to have to shift this workforce to another domain? That's why there's been so much emphasis on semiconductors, on on that economy, on MSMEs, for instance.
Yeah.
This shift has to be utilized, do you think? And whatever said and done, we can say that upskilling is the way forward, that we need to focus on much more. We need to actually enable our futuristic skills. All of that is given, but even with that kind of upskilling, there is a fear of losing out on your jobs, because basic coding, basic computing now doesn't need to be performed by human beings. So the focus, you think, is now going to have to be how to relocate this workforce, and are the young Indians truly open to that idea still? Do you think there's a gap there?
I think it's an interesting space we're in, right? Like, if you look at the whole manufacturing sector, it's still generating jobs. But what I'm also seeing as a trend is that not a lot of young people want to take those jobs because the kind of pay they are being able to offer. Like, literally a ITI kid today is able to earn anything between 12 to 15,000 rupees. And that's not aspirational for young people. So we're also seeing a very strange kind of unemployment being generated, where there are jobs available to young people which they don't want. And the kind of jobs the young people are aspiring for is in some sense not available to them, because those require higher order skills. So for me, that's one thing that I wanted to say. The other thing I also wanted to say is that of course, one has to sort of follow the growth sectors, right? There is conversations around how IT is going to grow, how services sector is going to grow. We want to grow manufacturing as a sector in this country, just given the fact that we're labor intensive. So I feel like there is room all of these sectors to generate employment, provided our young people have the right set of skills to be able to make use of these opportunities that are coming up. Because if they stay in the skill sets which is not usable in today's time, and I think that's the biggest issue, right? A lot of the skill training programs are not very industry aligned. Industry is not seeing clear value proposition of why they should come forward and make these training programs useful, because those are also how market dynamics play in terms of in terms of the fact that industries can still keep wages low. So I feel like one has to follow the growth sectors, one has to equip young people well, and it's not that AI is only going to impact the drudgery or the thinking jobs. It is going to have an impact everywhere. Okay. So one has to just
So parents need not worry before thinking that their child is going to opt for a Google or a Microsoft job. The worry is pan-India, the worry is across sectors. Febin, very quickly, tell us about AI programs in the country and what your thoughts are there, how much more needs to be done. Let's start with schools. Of course, universities are looking at some of these programs, extended programs, ensuring that children are really working on these futuristic skills. But does it or should it start earlier on? Should it start right from school? Computers, for instance, are our computer systems that are in schools that students have access to, are they updated enough for the real world when they're going to step out of school into college and beyond? Are they exposed to the same gadget to begin with?
So earlier we used to have calculators. So I think right now we need something like an AI agent, which a lot of online courses do provide, like Coursera and a couple of other, like Khan Academy is another example, where they give you a chatbot beside the tutor teaching it as such, right? And they can ask their doubts and hear it. But this is not something which is accessible across India. I don't think so. A lot of colleges and schools still lack it, but some has taken deliberate step to kind of achieve it. But having said that, I think that right now it's not just a matter of schools and colleges, but a student with an online access, I think if you just provide that facility that people can get on internet and access with a laptop, right, that itself can open up vast opportunities, because a lot of, like for example, Google Gemini by Geo is giving free usage for the first 12, 18 months, and for students it's free. So students can leverage that to earn these skills and go on with it. So I think in that case we are really good, as long as the student has a laptop and online connectivity.
That sounds ideal, Febin. A lot of parents are not okay with it. A lot of teachers are not okay with that, because the internet is not used always just for the right reasons. Nikita, very quickly, tell us about the integration. Now that you're working closely with ITIs, the programs that they're coming up with, are we looking at a change? Are we looking at our story growing and actually change on ground zero in terms of how we're training our young for the future?
Yes, I think there is a lot of intent, and I think there's also a realization what you said earlier, right? We need to start early, not even at an ITI level. We have to start at schools itself, where we work on these critical skills, thinking skills, future skills for young people. How do they imagine futures? How do they have a say in crafting some of these futures for themselves? Because also the other field, we've also sort of built out an AI charter very recently with young people, for the young people, by the young people, kind of a thing, right? Where young people are saying that all of these futures are being crafted for us, and we are no more. Nobody talks to us, nobody asks us what we want and how are we getting impacted, right? So I think the intent is definitely out there, where we need to start early. And I do see a certain positive steps. The Ministry of Skills announced ITI upgrade scheme in the last budget, almost 60,000 crores for its upgrade. This year also there's a huge increase in the union budget for the ministry. So there's an intent where a lot of AI skills, future skills, critical thinking skills, these things are integrated into the studying. I feel like what they need to do better is to have more industry aligned courses. Industries need to come forward to help develop these courses and make them more industry relevant, so that more and more young people can sort of come forward. There needs to be an increase in capacity as well. If only 4.9% of the people are getting vocationally trained, that's definitely not useful enough in a country like ours, which is like almost having 30 crore young people, right? And
well, NEP
like
2020
really
to begin with is also looking at solving some of these problems. So yes, we're seeing the problem being recognized, and at least people sitting together and understanding this is a challenge that we're facing and we need to start working towards it. The work has begun, but we need to get to a point that we're able to turn this challenge into an opportunity and really prepare young India with all soft skills, futuristic skills, everything, so they're ready and then nobody's losing their jobs at the end of the day. Thank you so much to the both of you. That's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us this morning. We need to head into a very short break. Coming right up, we'll be